Hey y'all, last weekend I was listening to the Super Mario Bros. 3 soundtrack, and I realized that composer Koji Kondo reused the underground theme from Super Mario Bros. 1 in this game. Now, of course, since then, this theme has appeared in a whole bunch of different games in the Mario franchise. But to me, what's significant about this is Super Mario Bros. 1 and Super Mario Bros. 3 are on the same system, being played by the same sound chip. And so these games, made just 3 years apart, show some really interesting developments in the NES or Famicom sound. First, it's worth noticing that this original is in 3/4. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. While the new version, as you might guess by the hip-hop backbeat, is in 4. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. In an interview with IGN in 2017, there's a quote here where they say Kondo says in the original underground theme, some measures were 4/4 or others are in 3/4. I don't have any background on this interview, but I wonder if that was maybe a mistranslation. There are certainly parts in the original underground theme where there are triplets as opposed to 16th notes. But I'm not sure that it's correct that some measures were in 4/4 and some were in 3/4. That counting aside, though, I want to talk a little bit about the audio channels. To refresh our memories, the NES has 5 sound channels. It can play 5 different sounds at the same time. 2 of those are pulse waves with variable pulse width. 1 of those is a triangle wave. 1 is a noise channel. And then there's the DPCM channel, which can play samples. I talk about all these more in another video, so I won't belabor that here. But I'm in this free program for Mac that lets me play Nintendo sound files. And let's listen to the original here. Now, what's interesting about this program is it allows me to isolate the different NES channels here. Those of you who are particularly good at counting will have noticed that there's way more than 5 Nintendo sound file channels here. This is because this includes the additional sound channels that are on some cartridges. Let's just turn those off because both Mario games only use the original 5 ones. Pulse 1, Pulse 2, Triangle, Noise, PCM wave. So if we listen to the original, we can see no change when I remove the PCM wave, no change when I remove the noise, no change when I remove Pulse 1. Okay, so now we're listening to the triangle wave. We know the triangle wave is in there. Here's Pulse 2. Remove the triangle wave. Remove them both and there's nothing, right? So this track is made up of those 2 channels playing in octaves. Okay, let's check out Super Mario Bros. 3. All right, so we know there's a drum beat going on. Let's see what the noise is doing. There goes my hi-hat, but I've still got some drums going on. Let's isolate those. Hey, that kick and snare are both sampled. Okay, so why are we doing this in 1988 when the original Mario didn't do this in 1985? Well, actually, these PCM samples are all over Super Mario 3, including, I used to think it was a snare drum, but it's a timpani on the main track. And there's a click sound that appears in a lot of the themes, including the underwater theme. But they were able to do this because there's more memory on the cartridges now, 3 years later. And so they can put a ton more on there. All right, let's bring our hi-hats back in. Okay, pretty primitive hi-hat there. Where's our triangle? There it is. Pulse 1. No surprise there, although it sounds like the pulse width is different there. Okay, but check this out. Pulse wave 1 is in there too. So even though they're playing the same thing, both of the pulse waves are in there. And I hear between those two, they're the same pulse width. So what's the point of having them both in there? Well, I can hear a little bit of phasing coming through. And so those tiny little imperfections add this kind of phasey effect. Now, if we had the triangle, it all comes together and produces a different timbre on this sound than the original. Back to the original. All right, I'll leave it there for today. But I think it's really neat to look at these two different versions of the song for the same system and see how even within the lifetime of the NES, the possibilities for composers changed. That's all I got for today. Catch you next time.